wee BFD charging. Fuck you, dude. Come on. Come on. There we go. Got a little charge going off of that. Oh, you're back. You're back.
Back in my back.
Hey, you're back and pains me back. Oh shit. I mean, you've at least been, you know, getting better with that shit, though, right? Yeah. I mean.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean.
I couldn't walk before.
Shit. Yeah, I mean. I'm surprised you didn't like fall or some shit, like, you know, when you first came back.
When they took me ambulance, I couldn't walk.
Yeah, I mean, you're might as well have like been paralyzed with just like floppy little like flesh meats just chilling out on the end.
Really, definitely, yeah.
I couldn't imagine how that would feel, just to like slowly over time just lose feeling in your feet and you can't use them and shit, you know.
You never know. I didn't know it was gonna happen the first time, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't think like that would have happened, but I mean, that's why, you know, that's why going doctor's important as fuck, man. Well, I have someone already here. Well, welcome.
I told them I had back pain since January, and they had a CT scan. I mean, they didn't find anything. They said eventually they did the MRI. The MRI shows a lot more.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's like you're going through a coffin.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everyone says, because, I mean, it looks like you're going through a coffin just looking at it. I mean, I could probably handle myself a little bit, but I can totally understand why some people don't like it.
They give you a bub.
Yeah, because claustrophobia is a thing, and if people, like, Mom is claustrophobic to some extent. So, yeah, I mean, she would, you know, people like her and just people straight up claustrophobic, just, you know, it's not even the idea of just enclosed spaces, like straight up phobia and shit. I mean, yeah.
I mean, basically, the top is not very far from your head, and the end of it's closed.
I mean, I could probably, you know, just like, you know, close my eyes and chill for a little bit, you know, and probably take a nap or something, you know. Like, I could probably feel something in my head and just close my eyes and just, like, have a daydream or something, you know.
They had to do 3 MRIs on me at the hospital.
Because you couldn't do the other 2, because you,
Yeah, I couldn't do the other 2. They just put me out.
They're like, alright, enough of this. You're done. You are out. Tapped out. Alright, we're gonna change the water out of this while we're having this little... Oh, a little boy. I would get the alcohol in this bitch, but it's just too much effort at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like, it's late, I don't want to deal with that. It's called the morning. Postpone stuff till the morning for a reason. Just the epiphany of just like a lazy man way of speaking. It's like, it can wait till morning.
Really?
Oh, one more. You know, I found out, I think like, I don't know if it's all moths or certain moths, but I think there are moths that straight up don't have a mouth. So, yeah, like they can't like literally eat anything. Which I think is because they take their energy in some different way. But I'm generally not too sure. Like, I'm not an entomologist like my dad is, so there you go. I could throw something at him. Got his attention. He's like, what the fuck? What was that? My kitty senses have tingled. He's like, I'm just gonna move to a different position. Well, I guess there was somebody here, but they disappeared. Or YouTube's just not registering them. And it also sounds like YouTube has not sent notifications out because YouTube's shit is bullshit. Gotta love YouTube's fuckery. Gotta love it. 7 little show banter like last time before I went into my discussion stream this time. Boom. Ooh. I forgot this lights up. That's good. Yeah, that's cool. Totally forgot to light up. But I'm going to need something better than this. Oh. Hold it. So that one's all set too. This torch can go on. Damn, dude. I hate it when... I need to, like, just refill this shit. Is there a... Oh, yeah, there's butane over there. Okay. Let's see if this works. Oh, whoa. What? No, there was, like... I guess there was, like, a cobweb or something. I thought there was, like, a leak in here or some shit. I don't know what compelled me to think that, though. I don't know what compelled me to think there might have been a leak. Besides there, maybe. I don't know why it does that. Hey, I made it. He's not phased. Don't sniff it, you goof. It's like bad for you. Maybe I shouldn't actually just like bring it all up in your grill if that's phased. Well, I think this one. Don't sniff butane. Oh, wow. Just a fat boy. Bam. Dude, I can't wait for the Bluesfest to happen later in July, like in the beginning.
Right.
Oh my god, that would be so dope. Like, I always look forward to the Bluesfest. I might actually do a stream at the Bluesfest, see how that works out. That'll be kind of dope.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. See how the Portland scene is with its music for everyone else. I mean, when it comes to music, I mean, Portland's got a pretty great variety. I mean, there's like underground punk scenes, underground metal scenes here. There's a lot of like indie and alternative that's here. There's obviously blues because there's a Fat Blues Fest that is like big every year, and I think it gets bigger every year. So I mean, yeah, I mean, just Portland like does pride itself in its events. Like the Rose Festival, the Pride. I think the Pride Parade was either today or yesterday, or at least there was something going on about that. And then yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of different things that are just going on in Portland, especially in the summer.
I'm like, there's opposite scary places.
I think they do. There's some haunted houses.
They used to have laughing gas.
Oh, there's little haunted houses around here.
What?
Oh, there's haunted houses around here. I think there's one nearby, and there's like a couple around the city. I just don't know the exact names of them. I probably could look it up and just be like, oh, well, there's the haunted houses.
I work, they've said they're haunted, so...
Huh.
Especially when I worked one night, oh my god.
There's this, you know the Springwater Corridor Trail?
Yeah, but
There's,
it doesn't bother me. It's
yeah,
whatever.
There's this one building that has like a lot of really cool artwork on one side, and me and my friend TK and Harley and I, we went up to because you can go around this like big lake and there's a trail that goes around it. You can kind of actually go up there, and what we found out is it was a cemetery, like an indoor cemetery and shit. Yeah. And we went around, checked out inside, just kind of saw everything, and we saw people who were there since like the 1850s and like the 1820s, dude. It's just like, wow. There's like a lot of, it was kind of cool to kind of see that because, you could kind of get the idea of how old and rich the history could be, and where that was, it was in Selwood, which is in between Portland and Milwaukee, where, so... It was kind of cool to see that, but at the same time, it was definitely unnerving because there was definitely this like vibe of like, I feel like we're not the only ones chilling here, but at the same time, it wasn't like there wasn't anything happening or whatever. But we did think there was at least somebody there because there was a light that was just on in this one corner of the building that was also another hall of great coffins, basically.
Oh,
Yeah, so we didn't know if there was like anyone in there or something like that, but it was pretty interesting. It was like, it definitely didn't feel haunted, but it felt kind of unnerving, kind of realizing we stumbled upon a place where there's a bunch of dead people inside.
Right.
Yeah, or at least maybe. I mean, I don't know if like all those things actually have like a body in it or a coffin, or it's just like a little spot to just have as remembrance for that person.
Right.
Because some headstones don't actually have the grave inside of it sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. Some places they get too full, so they actually have to dig up certain graves and then replace it with others and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't think they like remove the headstone. I think they just move it to a different spot, or maybe I don't know what they do with it, but yeah. But that's happened before. I don't know how common that is though.
Right.
Don't know how common. I've just heard of it before. Heard it from the internet, but you know, the internet's full of lies, full of the deep state actors. It's not in the mainstream; it's in the internet. Yeah.
Well, the internet used to be free. The more
Yeah. Well,
we go,
even though net neutrality is repealed, in most states it's still safe. Like in Oregon, Washington, and Vermont, they passed their own state-ran net neutrality. Essentially, they just kind of passed their own state versions of it. So we're safe with that. Like we still have net neutrality here, and then there's like 34 other states on top of that, and plus a bunch of cities that also aren't included in those states. So and those states have also like proposed their own net neutrality bills, or are just straight up not following with the repeal of it, which is essentially proposing their own bills to kind of place in hand. And then there's a bunch of cities in a lot of the states that aren't doing that, like Texas, like Florida, and there's a few Midwest states that aren't doing it, and it's kind of scattered everywhere. But a lot of cities in those states are also proposing their own net neutrality bills. So even in some cities, you're going to be able to have like some of them are proposing public broadband, some are just proposing their own net neutrality in the cities, principalities. So it's and even though it's repealed, I mean, the internet for a lot of places, it's states straight up are still relatively safe. It's just that the whole repeal of it was just kind of dumb at that point. If like half of the country is still not it's just like, nah, net neutrality is good, so we're gonna propose our own things. So I mean, it's just kind of it's just like, might as well just reinstate it if like most of the country is just still gonna follow net neutrality. It's just like, what was the point of that? Besides kind of the obvious that Ajit Pai also worked for Verizon. I think he was the president of Verizon before he went into the FCC or something like that. So you can kind of see where the money leads up to with that guy. It's not because Verizon is an internet service provider, so they end up having a lot. So when you got this guy who worked for Verizon and used to be a lobbyist for Verizon, going into an agency, which happens in politics a lot. You get those same guys working for the lobby they basically once served. And with Ajit Pai, it's Verizon and the other corporate internet service providers that are aligned with him, which includes Xfinity, DirecTV, and just go down the list. A couple more bowls. Just enjoy ourselves. I like how Bandit's little ears just poking out right there. You can just see his black little puff ball ear right there. I like how he just sits behind there. He knows this little place. It is on his luxurious cat tree on the top floor. The presidential suite for Bandito. The Bandito suite.
Man, he flew over there, wasn't he?
Yeah, I wish I was streaming when that happened. So Bandit was literally right here, and he jumped from here all the way over here, and nothing was moved over here besides me adding the lighters and shit. So yeah, he didn't have a lot of space to do that hop, but he did hop. Got like a cat fur on my nose, dude. Oh, you want to know something that sucked that happened today? So, have you ever, like, accidentally swallowed your saliva down your esophagus instead of your throat?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so I got it bad. Like, I was helping some customer check out, and I just started, you know, you can't help it. You're just like, oh, shit.
Are you plugged in?
Oh, yeah. Let me see what charge. Oh, it's going up a little bit. Okay. Wow, it goes up while I'm streaming. Wow, that's the first time a charger's done that. But now I'm just gonna keep plugged in, but then go in my room and plug it in there. But yeah, so it happened bad. I was like, oh god, and I was trying to help a lady check out, you know, at the register, and she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just want my," you know, I'm just dying at that point. It's just like, why am I trying to speak to her as she's like saying, "I'm going okay"? Well, I'm like, oh god, you know, my eyes are just like bawling at this point because, you know, just the reaction is just like, oh my god, it was terrible, dude. It's like, oh, Gord, come on, Gord. I think I even said that. I'm like, oh, come on, Gord. Oh. And then I was trying to like check her in. I'm like, oh god, it was. And there's someone else waiting, too, so they were witnessing it, and I was just like, oh, good. This is a fun experience right now. I hope they don't think I'm literally dying or something. Oh, my God, but I hate that, dude. It hurts so much when, like, yeah, it's just like, ugh. You know, it's weird, like, when we're born, like, our lungs are filled with fluid, so it's like, you would think, like, even though that was the... with that being the case, that our lungs will be somewhat okay with a little, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess it's just the instinctive reaction. It's like, this doesn't go down this pipe. Get it out. So, I don't know. But it's just like, damn, dude. Does not play well. Definitely does play well. Somebody did just sneak in here, liked, and left. That's like what happened. And no comment at all. Nothing. Unless YouTube is just being stupid, because there's been times where people are watching, but it'll say no one's watching. But I have no idea. If there is somebody, speaketh now. Normally there will be somebody speaking at this point. It might have been Stefan, because he does that. He'll sneak in, like, and leave. Maybe say something, but maybe he won't.
Stay back. Well,
Yeah, spittle.
You live?
yeah,
I'm gonna. Which one? Both of us? Because I'm coughing up. I'm not coughing, but like choking a little.
I'm hoping I don't have a dry socket.
A what?
A dry socket.
A dry socket?
Yeah.
Actually, I have something to drink really quick. I'll be right back.
Oh, it's a dry socket. It's something that people get in their seat that it's a dry socket.
Oh, okay, Dick.
It is what it sounds like.
Right.
There we go. These are some good shit. I don't know about you guys, but if you ever find these at a store, get them. They're so good. It's like a shot of It's basically like a protein shot. It's like a protein shake. It's called Core Power High Protein Milkshake. And they're really good. I love them a lot. Well, they're kind of spendy. I mean, they're like, they were on sale for like 2 for $5, but it was just like, whatever. They're still good. It's good to get the proteins in you. any means necessary. At least I'm not going keto. I don't need to go keto. I need to go like the polar opposite of keto and get like fat. Not fat, but like get a little lean on me. I definitely need to like actually like go into actually like learning on what foods and stuff are best for like building muscle and like at like gaining weight, but like healthy weight, you know. That would actually be pretty good for me because I'm just such a skinny bastard. I mean, last time I checked my weight, I was like 175, which is a little low, I think, for my weight.
Right.
Or for my height.
When I was 175, that feels like a long time.
Man, like, when I was a kid, though, I was kind of a chunky dude. Like, through high school and shit, I was chunky, but after that, I got skinny. The thing was the fact that I wasn't, like, chugging Monsters and fucking, like, having, like, barbecue burritos that are, like, seriously unhealthy for me.
Man, I don't eat a lot either, really.
Yeah, now I really kind of just nibble and drink a lot of liquids for the most part.
I still, like, retain weight for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think for you, keto actually might be something that might actually be good for you, because what that is basically you cut carbs entirely, but you do moderates on like protein, so you like have like meat as kind of like a secondary diet, and then it's fats actually, because don't like let the idea of like having like stuff like fats like eggs. What else was also listed? Like cheese, milks, and stuff like that. Like, don't let the idea of like the fats part of it like deter it, because if you cut the carbs of it and also you're not getting glucose, but instead your body will start producing ketones, and once it starts doing that, you'll essentially start going into a state of ketosis, which helps lose weight. Yeah, and also other stuff that's healthy for that is olive oil and coconut oil too, and various other examples. You can look it up online and find out more about it. Because that's just based on just what I know, because I know a couple people on YouTube who do it too, who talk about their keto diet. Because they're big bastards, so they need to lose the weight, so they go keto, which it will.
I've heard of keto before.
Yeah. From what I can see, it works for a lot of people. But
right.
I mean, for me, I wouldn't need it, because I mean, I'd be practically like the end result of someone trying to lose weight, or if they were a little chunky or whatever. But because the things with glucose, if you don't work it all out essentially and use all that energy, it'll start recompounding itself into fat essentially, which is what gets stored, and then and then the idea with cutting all that is with ketones is that it's essentially the byproduct of breaking down fat. So when your body enters that state of ketosis, it's using energy mostly off of your fat, which is why it helps you lose weight.
Right. I understand all that. Yeah, I've researched that. I have it down to perfection. I have the low sugar part down. I cut off sugar and carbs. Just stick mostly to fruit and vegetables and yogurt and cottage cheese and salads.
Oatmeal.
I also call it like the oatmeal diet.
Yeah, and when it comes to like the average American diet, it's like almost hard. It's not impossible, but it's damn near impossible to do like cut carbs.
I have to eat what I can.
Right. Yeah.
So
because
that out again.
Yeah, it's just hard to cut carbs in an American diet essentially because of how much carbs are in the diet. Like there's bread, there's rice, there's potatoes, because we use that for fries and practically all sorts of other shit like potato salad and stuff.
Right.
If you I'm sure if you went to like Europe or someplace, they'll still have that same shit. But they won't have as much, or it'll be more of like the healthy version, a more healthier version, or more localized probably, than like the more mass-produced, industrialized versions that get sold out in American stores and shit. Yeah. Because I've seen a couple of articles actually about like the different, like what's in an average household of different countries, and they'll go to places like Japan, Russia, Germany, Sweden, all these different countries.
Oh, wow.
And even in African countries, and I think they went to Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan too. Just these all sorts of countries.
Cool.
And they just ask them, hey, take a bunch of random shit out of your pantries and fridge, put it out, stand around it, take a picture, and then we'll kind of like go into discussions just based off what we see on pictures and kind of get an analysis on that, which is kind of cool. But when it came to like an American diet, and they did multiples of American diets, because I mean there's, or at least multiple American versions, because there's there's so much you can do with that.
Right.
Though they kept it more generalized with other countries, but what was noticeable about the pictures with American families in their households is that they had a lot more stuff that had higher saturated fats, higher carbs, higher sugars and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff that we don't need as much compared to other things like protein and fructose, and just actually like good, more healthier versions of what we were trying to get, or at least a more healthy balance. Because places like Vietnam would or even Mexico would have a lot of stuff that looks like local produce they bought at like a local open market or some shit.
Yeah.
The cool thing about Portland, there is actually Sunday markets you can go to. Milwaukee even has one. Yeah, Milwaukee has one downtown.
When I'm going,
Milwaukee has one downtown. They have a little local farmers market there every Sunday.
I like that. I look at that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, and they're scattered all over Portland, and that's what I love about going to Saturday markets, because they're local produce, and a lot of it might look a little weird or whatever, but I've actually tried like peaches from a local farm, and it was the most sweetest, tastiest little peach I've ever had. It was like this different, like exotic looking peach I've never had before. I'm like, I'm gonna try that peach, and so I bought like 3 of them, and it was like the most tastiest thing I've ever had. So good. Oh yeah, I mean, when it comes to like these Saturday markets, like, I mean, even for whoever's watching, if you have a Saturday market in your town and shit, go to it, dude. I mean, if some of it, I don't know, like, what the prices may be. I think it just depends.
Trying to keep myself busy.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, I mean, I work on weekends, so I never really get an opportunity to go down there that much. Right. But when I do, I always like to grab, like, a lot of good stuff.
I always think, I didn't today because I was like, I wanted to work out and other
Yeah.
stuff. I had ideas, but then I was like, one of these days I have to go early, where I go to work on a Sunday and go, just...
Oh, yeah. Like, buy a bunch of, like, different little things.
Go down there a little early before I go.
Yeah, like, buy a couple things here and there and, like, use it to snack on at work or something, Yeah. I mean, I do that, too. I mean, if it was, like, right by my work or something. Like, if there was, like, a small Saturday market, like, in the parking lot of where we are at, I would totally go to it every lunch, buy a bunch of shit, come back here, eat all of it or most of it or whatever, and then go back to work. Because I love going to these Saturday markets. Like, that's like the most like localized, most like organic produce you'll probably get. Because I mean, it's just people growing a bunch of food for themselves, and that's how they sell and make their living. They just go to these Saturday markets and get a bunch of people in the family, go to different ones and sell it. I mean, because I've talked to one of them before. And they said that they had like 3 other people at 3 different other markets selling their stuff, and I was like, wow. So I mean, you guys really do make a living off of this, which is cool. I mean, it's a way to make a living. It's really awesome. Yeah. And sadly, it just seems like that's more honest than working in a more industrialized, farm, just mass producing it. Because I mean. Wow, I mean, it's still honest work, farming and harvesting food and stuff. I mean, but it just seems more, like, it feels like there's more of a connection with everything if it's, like, at a local Saturday market, which I wish there was more of that. I wish I was encouraged. Like, if people, like, were encouraged to go local and buy from local farms and local husbandries and stuff like that instead of mass industrialized food and all these, like, local farms and stuff, like, made cooperatives with each other, like workers cooperatives among another, I'm sure it could actually work out to be pretty stable for local communities.
Sorry, getting my ass kicked here.
Getting your ass kicked in that game? Oh, it sounds like your ass is getting whooped, dude.
Yeah.
You're just like, well, my ass is whooped. I'm just gonna watch.
Well, I was trying to see how far I could go, and I think I found it.
You're just like, well, this is done. I'm done. I'm gone.
Yeah, for now.
I have been eviscerated.
Right, yeah.
Evisceration.
Evisceration.
Alright. I'll go take one more board. And then I'll get into my lovely discussion. First, what time is it? Oh shit. Never mind. The Chargers just keeping it at bay. Because it went down like 2%. Oh no. Sad face.
They wiped my ass.
So, what game
They
is
just
it?
murked your ass.
Star Wars, GOH, Heroes, Star Wars Heroes. It's an awesome game. I don't really play anything else anymore.
Like what game are you playing now? You see, you guys go through trends of games. You used to play poker all the time, but now you're playing a golf game, I think.
Yeah.
And I think you used to play something else before that. I know it didn't. You played something else.
Yeah, but I really got on this game now.
Yeah,
so
and then you were playing Candy Crush for the longest time, and then now you're playing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would go for like my own trends of games if my computer was just superior enough to play them right now. But I need to get that bitch upgraded and get like a fat memory drive so I can suck half of the memory out of that thing so I can actually make it run faster.
Right.
Or just get an upgrade. Because there's like games I actually want to stream and shit. Like there's a game called Kenshi, which is an indie game that has been in development for years, but has always been very popular amongst fans of the game who do know about it. Yeah. And man, it looks so fun. It's like this it's like this fantasy post-apocalyptic feudal-ish type of wasteland, but you can literally do anything you want. Essentially, it's a really cool RPG type of game, and I really want to try it. Like, you can even build your own city at some point, if you wanted to in the game, which is, like, awesome. You can, like, make your own, you can do anything, like, make, like, a bounty hunter, like, clan or some shit, or you can, like I said, form your city and make a faction amongst the other factions in the game.
Yeah.
And then, or you can just be, like, some mafia baron leader or something and, like, rule the criminal wastelands, essentially, because there's a lot of that, too. Right. Or you could just be bandits or, like, cannibalistic cultists or some shit. Yeah. I remember Paul Zigo was doing a stream of it. He was playing this character, Stinky Sills, and he was wandering the desert, and these random cultist sand dune raiders or some shit came out of nowhere. Oh, wow. They knocked him unconscious. They carried him back to their territory, into their little camp, and then they hung him upon a pole, and then all of them started, they all started to gather, and then they all start bowing down as like 3 or 4 of them start feasting upon his flesh alive. Like his character was like eaten alive from the legs first. Then the arms, and then he passed out and died from bleeding out because he's being eaten alive.
Damn,
it's like, dude, this, like, when I saw that, I was laughing so hard I couldn't control myself, dude. It was the greatest fucking thing I've seen, dude. Like, they're all bowing down as he gets eaten alive by cannibalistic sand dune raiders or some shit. It's like, what the fuck? Like, that is amazing. Like, that sold me. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, I gotta get this game because if that's possible, then I could probably do it too. Like, it just looks so cool, dude. I mean, there's also other games I want to stream besides that. Like, there's Rise of Storm 2 Vietnam, which is a Vietnam-based first-person shooter that is pretty realistic, but also very fun, too. And there's Elite Dangerous, there's Banished, there's another cool game.
That's my biggest distraction of all time.
Gaming. Well, hey, I mean, it's fun, and people love to even watch people play it. So I mean, it'll work out.
I was playing what's that one game? I was getting into League of Legends.
League of Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really got into that myself.
I wonder if I could get really into this. I could get on the top.
I mean,
I win money for
but
that game.
Dude, I mean, there's. Like, when it comes to that game, like, I mean, it is a sport, practically. I mean, I don't really like the game myself. I've never been a big fan of it, but I can understand why it's so big, because people have made it a competition.
And it's very creative. People send in different art, and it's different. I mean, and it's very strategic. I wish I could play that game.
There's a lot. There's this other game that's similar to it called Smite that I've actually played, which I kind of like better, but it's like, It's basically taking mythological gods of all sorts of different cultures, from Greek, Egyptian, Norse, like, because they have different gods like Fenrir, Thor, Anubis, Zeus and shit. Like, they have all these different mythological gods that they have in the game that they use, which is pretty cool, and they all have their special abilities and shit, just like in all these other games like Dota 2 and League of Legends and shit. And, I mean, that's kind of one of my personal likes, just because I guess I like the concept of, like, the mythological god part, which is kind of why I like it a little more.
Right.
Yeah. I guess just because of the super overhypiness of League of Legends, I think that was why it kind of turned me off from it. If it was just kind of like a game that was just like whatever, I probably would actually get into it.
Well, what turned you off?
What's that? I think the super hypiness of the game and how it became so competitive, and like it got like there's like world championships of of League of Legends and shit. And yeah, I think that because I've never been a big fan of competitive gaming. Like I like it's cool. Like I like the concept, and I think that
Oh,
it's
I can
great.
be very competitive.
Oh,
and if I can get into something I like, I'm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get the same way with poker, roulette. I mean, all sorts of games, dude. I mean, I get competitive. I mean, gaming is competitive, which is why people turn it into a sport, which is great. Which I think is great. Like, I mean, because you got people who love football, and then American football. Yeah, I said football for soccer, bitch. I said football for soccer, bitches. but and then people got sports for like skiing and like golf and shit. So I mean, it makes sense for gamers to have their own too.
Yeah, it's my biggest distraction, but I have to, I got Why am I getting murdered?
He's getting murked over there.
I am. I'm getting murked. Why do I always have? I mean, I like it.
You like the murkage.
I like to pick the hardest, so then I can be like, okay, I'm actually not that good as them. But then if I do try harder, I can't be. So make it hard, man.
I get that. I mean, there's like straight up games that I actually like to challenge myself in. I mean, there's games that are just naturally hard, and that they are meant to be hard. And
it's a good stress reliever.
Like, there's actually this game called ARMA. It's a series of games, actually. ARMA, I think it was called like ARMA the Cold War, and then ARMA 2, which had Operation Arrowhead and a bunch of other different additions to ARMA 2.
Right.
And then there's ARMA 3, and it's basically like a military simulator, basically. And it does have a tutorial system, but it is complex as fuck. Like, I mean, practically your entire keyboard, like every key can do something, basically.
Oh, wow,
yeah. Like, but I love ARMA 2, dude, or just ARMA in general. It's so fun, and I love the complexity. Like, I honestly love games that are far more complex and more strategic and more tactical and like more critical thinking about certain things, because like the multiplayer system in ARMA is like
sometimes I
people
like games that you don't have to think too much until you want to think, and then you gotta think
like
about it, but not all the time.
Yeah, like in ARMA, you can kind of do that. Like if you're in like a game where you're doing like some like you're trying to take over a territory, against the Out4, like you can kind of do that. Like while you're traveling to your destination, you don't really have to think too much besides go to destination, keep awareness up, look for hostiles and shit. Like, if you end up being like a commander in ARMA or something like that, you have to like basically be all hands on deck. You're communicating with like squad leaders, like battalion leaders, air, forces in the air that might be aiding you, like everything. Like, I mean, depending on your role, you can do all sorts of stuff in ARMA.
Oh, wow.
I mean, ARMA, like, and there's mods for ARMA where it doesn't have to be military, like. DayZ was the biggest mod in ARMA 2. Yeah, which is a zombie survival mod, which was fantastic as a mod, and arguably still is to this day. And there's like another mod called City Life, which is basically kind of goes into like the Grand Theft Auto way of doing things, but you can actually like own a home and do things, have like a regular job, role play with other people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, I mean, ARMA could do all sorts of stuff, which is why I love it, because, I mean, when it comes to PC gaming myself, because that's what I am, I mean, the modding community is what makes a lot of these games, because like, while the initial game is great, like, people see ways to make it better or have, like, a different way of playing the game to make it better for themselves and for other people, and make mods for it, and it ends up being great. Some mods suck, but, you know, yeah, but I mean, a lot of there's some mods that just hold well and, you know, are just great. I mean, some mods, you know, might, you know, be, you know, changing the engine a little bit to do, like, yeah, it's all good. But, I mean, some mods will, like, change the engine to do stuff like, I mean, do City Life or DayZ, but some are just simple enough to add, like, other guns to the game or add, like, certain skins, you know, certain aesthetics and stuff like that. I mean, it just kind of depends on the mod. Some mods even add a whole new faction to the game, too, where with their own unique weapons and stuff. So, I mean, you know, when it comes to the modding community for any game, really, I mean, not just ARMA.
It's limitless. I mean,
it is, man. I mean, it really is. It wouldn't surprise me if there's ways to mod, you know.
DLC, all the DLC they have. Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah. I mean, a lot of ways people go to modding now is because, like, I mean, kind of the way microtransactions and DLCs have kind of tainted a lot of gaming nowadays. Like, EA is a perfect example of what microtransactions and DLCs should not be. Like, what EA has done to, like, Battlefield and Star Wars and shit, like Battlefront,
it's all about the top dollar, as you see.
Yeah, it's all about just making the money over the game. Yeah, so they
people
don't...
will buy crap if they, I like this, it's crap.
Yeah, I mean, people will be gullible enough to do it, yeah. Which is why I don't even really get those major games like that go on consoles, too, really, anymore, because it's just like, you know, they're just
not to spend money on a game at all.
Yeah, like, the only time I ever try to spend money on a game is if it's on Steam.
That's why I like League of Legends.
Yeah.
You didn't have to spend money. You can actually build your way up there. It
like,
took a while.
Yeah.
You can get there.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's not bad to spend money on a game if you love it that much, you know?
Right.
But, I mean, you know, when it comes to games that see that and then exploit it, you gotta watch out for that, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because there are game developers who don't give a fuck about the game they're making. They just care about the money, you know? They're just trying to make a big profit off of, like, making a pre-alpha game that's, like, halfway in development, and they release it, and people are expecting this really cool start to a game, but then ends up being total bullshit, and, you know, then the creators run away with a lot of money in their pocket. And that's unfortunately been a major problem lately in the gaming community, especially on, like, Steam and on PC gaming. And bet?
Yeah, you can put that for me.
Yeah, I can put that up for you.
Love you too, son.
Like for Father's Day?
Oh, yeah.
I got a little letter from Pops over there, chilling.
Oh.
No, this is actually a good time to transition into the room anyway, so let's go. Only went down 1% cents, that's okay, I don't care. Grab all my drinks. What game are you playing, dude? Let's just...
Star Wars. It's pretty cool.
Well, holy shit. Damn, well, yeah, it looks like got your ass whooped, but damn, that actually looks kind of like a cool, you know... The way, you know, like, phone, even games on the phone have, like, just exacerbated into, like, intense...
But I'm picky about what I download, though.
Right, yeah. I mean, I do that just because of my phone's memory. Because I have games on my phone, too, that I play occasionally when I'm, like, going places.
And they're always trying to get you to buy it.
Yeah.
Buy shit.
Look at this sleepy fat bastard.
No.
Aww. Oh, yeah, he just loves all of that. Yeah, he does. Oh, my goodness. Look at this boy. Pretty boy. Alright. Well, let's get into our actual part 2 now that we bantered for 43 minutes, which I think was longer than the banter that I did last time, but that's okay. That's okay. This Ignarism's a little more casual today. A lot more casual. Okay, now we're in here. I actually did not do research yet for the final part, but that's okay, because I think it kind of gets into what we're all talking about. Which, for the final part, is going to get into the solution, I think. You know, or at least, like, what the optimal solution for my philosophy is. Which is why we do these Ignarisms, because we're understanding my philosophy on it. But before we do that, I think it's a good idea to recap, at least. Okay, hold on. Before we do, I'm going to wipe the camera thing off that. and wipe it on my front one just in case that one wants to fuck up. There we go. That looks a lot more prettier and not so glary. Oh yeah, much better. Every time. I should just do that naturally every time. I don't know why I keep not doing that. Okay. But before we continue, I'm going to make sure this shit stays charged so we can continue to go on as long as we can. Because that is our intention. To go long and hard. While we get hiccups all of a sudden. What the fuck? There we go. Bag-a-beam, bag-a-boom, bitch. Okay. Intermission time with Ignar. Okay, it's charging. Okay. Cool. Just get that out of my fucking way. Get this out of my way. Alright, we're good. We are good. Oh, there's Thumbhead. Remember Thumbhead from the last stream, guys? Yeah, well, we don't need to look at his ugly fat ass anymore. I'd rather look at beautiful Kyle, you know, with his smile. His lesbian smile. Okay, let me just do a little intermission here while I do some recap. So, I don't think we need to recap too much into it, but here's our little recap. So, quickly, we should understand at least the definition of climate change for the premise of what we're talking about here, which is that oh, okay, I'm going to read these final chats here really quick of the last stream that I did on the first climate change. Later, Ignar? Yes, murder people. State-sanctioned murder. I'm pretty sure it was because I talked about... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was about the Muslim migrant in Sweden that got off for raping a child. I still hold myself to it. I'm just... When it comes to certain folks, I think they're too far gone to just be saved, so why keep them around? You're just eliminating the problem with that sense. But anyway, so quick recap now. So, first of all, with the main definition of climate change for the premise we're talking about here, is the main causes towards the overall actual effect of the natural ways of climate change that goes on upon the Earth. So, what climate change is for the natural way of what Earth does for its own climate changing is long-term effects of the overall world's global climate. And weather is the short term, like weeks, couple days, month, at best. So. Oh, I forgot. Now that we're getting into our tone, we need to go sepia like we do. Yeah, there we go. Almost forgot. Alright. So, the recap, what we were getting into was kind of looking at a lot of what is going on. Like, a lot of the negative effects that have been happening, which I'll actually get more into here. And some of the opposition that has been bestowed upon us in a sense. And I think we'll actually get more into that because unfortunately I had to work at 3 instead of 4 like I thought. So we're going to get more into that. So I think we'll actually have to retake a visit to a video that we did look into before. And also, because I think I'll just go into that one alone because I think that one goes best into what we're getting into here. So let me just look up this thing here. Here we go. Alright, that was good. That was good. Okay, here we go. Alright.
Some night walkers at the point.
But I don't understand how you think that we.
Oh, well, okay, there we go. So we did this. I went into this video on stream before. This is Joe Rogan and Candace Owens arguing over climate change, which, I think actually, I will just use this video to kind of help me get into a lot of what I'm going to get into. So, yeah. Basically, that's just basically it there. But, yeah, like, but before we continue, so, what So what are some of these negative effects of climate change? Because there's a lot of factors here. And I did get into these the last one, but not in full detail. So let's just kind of go off the list here. So let's just look at the natural causes that are just going to happen due to the weather. So we're gonna have. So what's gonna happen is due to actually, let me pull up the this one little bad boy that I got here. I looked at this last stream, and this is basically. Let me pull it up, and I'll actually get it out of Sepia or Sepia. Someone correct me on that. I don't know what the fuck to call it. I'm just like, someone correct me on it. I demand it. But okay, there we go. Get that out of the way. So, okay, so I posted a link on this on the last stream in the chat there, but I doubt it's going to be on their post stream. But this is the world, obviously, and what you're seeing here is the surface weather patterns of the wind, or at least the wind weather pattern. So, like for example, here's Oregon. Kind of see where Oregon is here with the river, Columbia River, essentially getting its great border distinction. But you kind of, like I live here in the valley, so you can kind of see where our weather, how it's like here. So of course, for us, we got mountains, so that gets rid of that type of thing. So anyway, it also gives you the sources of the GFS, which I forgot what that was, the NCEP and the U.S. National Health, Weather Service. So let's look at chemicals here. So here is CO2. Now this is carbon dioxide concentration on the surface, and this is pollution essentially. I'm just gonna. I want my wind plus carbon dioxide concentration at surface. Okay. So white and blue is bad, while the black is actually good. So here's China. Let's just go there, because we all like to kind of rip on China about this. So, like I said, the scale is from like black is like, there's no pollution there. So as you can see, like a lot of out here is, a lot of like far eastern Russia is, nothing going on. A lot of Eastern Europe, surprisingly, is actually nothing really going on too much, which I actually kind of find surprising, considering how industrialized they were in the Cold War. Central Africa is okay. South Africa, due to their industrialization, is getting pollution as well. But you can kind of see where a lot of this pollution is. Look at the north. This is the important factor here. So look at all the blackness here. But look at the North Pole here. Are you noticing that it's far brighter compared to anywhere else? So. But let's go back to China really quick. You can see how bright all that is. Like, this is heavy pollutant. And then just kind of look how this color of, the North Pole essentially is in between this and all this central red. Which is concerning, considering how there's been far mass recessions of ice melt in the North Pole, including the South Pole, which we got into as well. The southernmost continental ice cap, which I'm assuming is like right here in this region, is melted like 13 feet worth of water to cover in the entirety of Texas since 1992 to 2017, I think. So that you're seeing the problem here. You're seeing the problem. It's, our ozone is being evaporated, basically. In fact, let's look at particulates, I think. Space, actually. Aurora. Wind surface visible auroras. Okay, so this is like, you might see auroras. Oh, by the way, I'm going to this little island right here in October, so I'm going to have an opportunity to see these auroras. So I'm going to check this out, definitely, before I leave to see if I can. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, it was like look at particulates, so we got like dust distinction. So you can tell that dust, of course Sahara is gonna have a lot of dust. But you can see where a lot of like particulate matter, one I think that's and it's like 2.5, and that's 10, and this is surface plus sulfate extinction. So I don't know exactly what that is all about, but you can also see ocean currents and stuff like that as well, or the waves. Like here's the ocean currents as well. So it tells you everything on there. You can also see the Gulf Stream, very intense Gulf Stream going on. They got this stream going on right here as well. So I mean, there's all sorts of different, different things you get to check out with that. But so going back to the oops, wrong button. So going back to the main factor of why we're getting these surface rising in temperatures is because of the overall global temperature of this world is rising, and that's a problem. Because what causes that? Well, when there's more CO2 in the atmosphere, it heats it up more. It does, and it also there's also other different particulates and other greenhouse effects that can be caused into that will start evaporating the ozone, which has proven to be happening. Like there was a hole in the middle of like Antarctica or some shit. Anyway. So once there's like these holes in the ozone, and the sun's rays and heat and energy starts pumping through, it'll start bouncing through and like reflecting off of the surface of the oceans and land, etc. It's just reflecting off the Earth. But once it starts going back up towards like these blocks in the ozone, it starts just bouncing back and forth and staying in the atmosphere. So it continues to overall heat up the Earth. And because what the ozone does is it protects us from a lot of that initial impact of the immediate radiant heat. Like, of course, it doesn't entirely, because we still get warmth, warm summers and cold and things like that nature. So I mean, it still gives us heat and shit, but it protects us from overall a more. It's like essentially you're going to a sauna and you're not. It's like instead of just like chilling out in the sun for like 10 minutes just for like a chill little tan, compared to like being out there or being like at one of those like sun tanning booths for like 15 minutes on like full blast. You know what I mean? I mean like full blast. Like I don't know if there's like a gauge that could like set those to like make them more intense than sometimes, but I think there is, but I have no idea. But you get the point. So, I mean, with that happening, you're getting a lot of this ice melt, which is causing evaporation, or which is causing melting of the waters, which increases the sea level rises, which isn't even the first worst factor about this. That's not even the worst part about it. And then with that, there's also going to be more, with a more heated ocean, there's going to be more evaporation of the water, and there's also going to be, with that, more intense extreme weather because of that. So, you can see how this all, kind of plays together. So, what are some of these other factors that is, that's going to be negative on the axon climate change here? Well, they're going to, like I said, the Earth is going to continue to get warmer and warmer. And when that happens, guess what? The Middle East isn't going to be inhabitable anymore. It's not. Like, it's already hot enough as it is out there. You think they're going to be able to live under like 130 degree temperatures year round? I don't think so. On top of that, that doesn't even go into the man-made factors. That's just the natural factors we're getting into at the moment. So, another factor is droughts. Like, there's going to be wars over water, and in some ways, it's already begun. Look at Cape Town, South Africa. They ran out of water already. Day zero was a while ago for them. I think like 2 months ago at this point. Just moving this out of the way a little better. But, so, when, like, it almost actually does like minutely offend and piss me off when people just seriously deny the actual man-made effects of climate change, because look at the actual impacts that it's been making. You know, Cape Town doesn't have water anymore. Like, it has to get water shipped in from, what's the other fucking town in South Africa? I don't know. I'll look it up really quick, because I'm a forgetful bastard. Africa. It's from, capitals. It has 3 capitals? What? Well, Cape Town's one of them. And it's also a big tourist attraction, too. A lot of people like to stop there. So, you know, Cape Town's fucked at the moment. In fact, I'm wanting to see if there's any updates on that. And, Cape Town has been getting water, transported from, I mean, anywhere and everywhere, but I think they get, transported over from, like, Port Elizabeth or, Durban. But I can't be for certain. And I guess they have 3 different capitals for 3 different things. Pretoria is for executive. Bloemfontein is judicial, and Cape Town's legislative. And Johannesburg is their largest city, and I think they also get water transported from there as well. So, I mean, they're trying to get water just everywhere. Let me look up this Cape Town water crisis. So, water. Okay. Here's something here. So here's just more of the natural effects of the negative impacts of climate change here. Drastic drop in bottled water sales as Cape Townians become more self-sufficient. Huh. Well, I guess this kind of goes into how they're trying to combat this. Massive spike in Cape Town's bottled water sales, which increased by 118% in December. In January, after an announcement of Day Zero, has dropped drastically, and some outlets are selling stock at half price to clear the shelves. The decline in sales appears to be primarily because Day Zero has been pushed into next year, but there's no longer panic buying, but also because Cape Townians who have suffered the money have become more water self-sufficient since the advent of the crisis, and have installed rainwater tanks and junk boreholes. A shop in Fishhook is now selling 5-liter bottles of water for R10, which I guess is like, it's currency. Shop staffer Edgar Valentine said at the height of the Day Zero panic, the shopping was selling between 50 to 70 bottles a day between R17 and R20 each. We got an extra stock. Oh, okay, whatever. Does this actually get into anything? It just goes into just people's. Okay, well, I wasn't really thinking. Let's see here. Oh, here's something from CapetownEtc.com. So here's from Cape Town itself. The Waterskloof Dam is filling up. Dam levels in Cape Town are slowly increasing thanks to rainfall in June. On Friday, the city of Cape Town announced the dam levels increased to 33.7%, a rise from 31.8% recorded on Monday. The good news is that more rain is forecast for the coming week. And okay, so it looks like due to a lot of rainfall lately, there actually has been water being collected for Cape Town by Cape Town, essentially. So it sounds like there's they're doing what they can to make the best of the situation, which comes into what should we do when it comes to the worldview, but that comes near the end. So let's just get into just this video again with Joe Rogan and Candace Owens. I don't think we really need to pull anything up. So, actually, since I actually do have seen this video a bunch of times already, I'm actually going to transport some shit back in here really quick, and I will be right back. So I'll let you guys listen though, because of course we're getting into this video, so I'm going to be able. I'll be back. I'll just be back. I don't need to explain myself.
We're almost losing America. There's a battle for America.
I really feel that, like, just in every regard, in terms of just the people that were running, like Hillary Clinton. Like, this woman was a globalist. Like, just think about who we were in bed with, like Saudi Arabia, selling all of our uranium to Russia. Like Trump came in and was like, no, like America, people, we were the gap, like we're losing the middle class. The gap between the rich and the poor was like literally.
What do you think is causing that?
Policies, shipping all of our jobs overseas, the regulation, the government getting bigger and bigger. You can't do anything as an entrepreneur in America without a piece of paper from the government, discouraging people with this piece of paper, like shutting down the factories, forgetting that there's something, there's a little land between New York and LA, believe it or not. And this is what Trump understood. We were losing that. And Trump appealed to those people. I'm still floored. Like, as I'm traveling the world and seeing different pieces of the country, I'm learning how ignorant I was. And that's the best thing in the entire world.
Way?
Just, I fell victim to the idea that, like, it was progress. We have to care about the environment. It was progress. And it's like, no, like, we've been losing. America has been losing. And Donald Trump understood that in a way that I didn't. And I thought...
You don't think we have to care about the environment? Like,
not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit?
No. Okay, let me clarify this. I don't throw trash on the ground. Like, okay. I'm not saying, like, we need to, like, trash the environment, but do I believe in climate change? No.
You don't believe in climate change?
Well, I think the climate always changes, I guess is what I should say. Do I believe that this is an issue that is being, that is global warming, which they've changed?
Okay, so luckily it looks like I just came right on time, so. Right on time, oh god, yeah. Okay. Just gonna put this bitch over here. Alright. Okay, I need to grab this shit out. I was feeling a booskies, so I want a booskies. So, anyway. Before we kind of get into it, we already just heard her say, well, the climate always changing. And like I said earlier and even before in the first stream, no shit, Sherlock, because no one can deny reality that the climate is always changing. It's the man-made impact of it's the man-made impact of what climate change it's man-made. You get my point. It's the man-made fact. It's the human impact of to climate change is the main discussion of the topic. Fuck, that was hard to say for some reason. See when I need a bowl. But yeah. Anyway, let's get just right into her shit.
Conveniently, they got rid of the word once scientists started disproving it. Now they only say climate change. No, I think that was just a way to extract dollars from Americans. I don't at all believe they had no actionable plan. It was great for Trump to get out of that.
Okay. How in the fuck is protecting the environment just... What'd she say? Just...
started disproving it. Now they only say climate change. No, I think that was just a way to extract dollars from Americans.
Extract dollars from America. How in the fuck is scientists doing research on an important thing right now in the world's history is just, extracting dollars from Americans? See, this is the problem with this whole debate. It's bullshit. Because that's not an argument. Because scientists don't fucking, go behind the corner and go, we took all the fucking tax dollars of Americans. Oh yeah, my wallet is filled, bitch. That's not the case. That's never been the case. It's been the case for scientists who are paid by the fossil fuel industry, but it's never been the case for scientists who gives a shit about their actual job. There's no way... If you want to say that, scientists are, exploiting, extracting the dollars of U.S. American citizens, maybe you should look at the scientists who are corrupted by the money of the fossil fuel industry. Maybe you should look into that.
Don't at all believe they had no actionable plan. It was great for Trump to get out of that deal. It's terrible.
Okay, but this is an incredible...
Oh yeah, the deal, the Paris Climate Accords. Yeah, the deal that the United fucking States is literally the only country that has signed out of the Paris Climate Accords. Nicaragua You want to know why they didn't add, or was it Honduras? It was one of those two countries that's having a collapse at the moment in Latin America. But one of them didn't want to sign on deal because it didn't go far enough. It did not go harder on the idea that we should protect our goddamn environment. And you want to know why Syria, the other one, didn't sign on? They're in a civil war. You think they're going to have one of their delegates out there available to go there and sign on the deal? And besides, because of that as well, they couldn't even be in the debate table discussing it. So, you know, they kind of had this little grudge of like, you didn't invite us, fuck you. And, you know, I don't blame them. You know, they're going for a war right now. And, you know, they're just, you know, wrapping that shit up right now. They're like around that stage of it. And even then, they're going to have to worry about the proxy wars later, you know, to exploit more of their oil so we can go in there and make a whole big conflict, overthrow Assad, and put a puppet state in there like we did Iraq, and then we're going to exploit all the fucking natural resources, especially the oil, in Syria like we did Iraq, like we're trying to keep going in with Afghanistan, like we're probably doing in all these other fucking countries. And you know, it's fucking sick. And when I get into my final part of what we should do, I am also going to go into what we should actually do for the bastards, and for the oil barons, and for the fossil fuel lobbyists, and for the corrupt politicians who vote for their agenda. You know, I go into what should happen to them, so I will go near that in the end. But let's kind of continue on with this bitch.
Subject.
Right.
And if you would have to talk to a bunch of different scientists and see how they gather data and see what they understand about CO2 levels and what's the danger of them and what can combat it and what cannot. Have you done all this, or do you take this flippant opinion based on
I'm not. This wouldn't be the hill I died on, right? But it's not about the part. I just genuinely, I've read a ton about it, but I would not be able to. I would not be able to come to you and say like, this is my strong opinion. But here's like the easiest way to say this, right?
Okay.
The fact that there is a disparity in the science community about whether or not it's real is enough to.
It's very little.
Yep.
Very little disparity. Most scientists, the vast majority, agree that human beings are negatively affecting climate change.
Yeah.
The vast.
And guess what that percentage is on average? I don't know, about 97%. So, you want to say that all these scientists, every single one of these fucking scientists are bought off, and then, you know, are just pushing this narrative of, you know, the green climate change agenda by the liberals. Ugh. You know, they're just throwing their own hypocrisy back on you to think that you're going to be doing the same thing. You see, because that's all they can think. That's how they think. That's how these fossil fuel lobbyists and these, you know, scientists bought off by these industries think. Because that's all they know. That's all they know is how to corrupt, to profit for their own, for their own narrative and for their own agenda. If they could buy the government to do it for them, they will, and they have, and they do to this day.
Majority.
Yeah, I just don't think so.
And you're a fucking retard, Candace Owens. Go fuck yourself.
Think that the very
just gonna put that out there.
Few scientists that disagree with the consensus are the ones that are correct.
Well, I think if something is, it's either subjective or it's objective, and there are objective truths. Right?
And guess what? Climate change is an objective truth. Like it or not, I'm just gonna steal a quote from Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro alert! Shapiro alert! By the way, Shapiro alert. Facts don't care about your feelings, you stupid cunt. So, yeah, why don't you take to account of your own little sides, favorite little things to say. Facts don't care about your feelings. Look at yourself. Look in the goddamn mirror, you hypocritical piece of shit.
Right? But it's subjective if you're saying that there are some, and I don't think there's very little. There are some that don't get paid to go on TV. There's some that are not Bill Nye, who are not funded scientists, and that has been a whole... Okay,
Bill Nye's not a scientist, by the way. I clarified that at the beginning of the stream, too, a little bit. I was like, Bill Nye, the not really science guy. I don't think I said that, but that's what he basically is, because I think he's actually an engineer. But he, pushes science because he loves and appreciates and respects science. So, because he's not a scientist, he's going to be funded to push education of science. That doesn't mean shit. It just means he's trying to, push science. And, I've heard his new show on Netflix or some shit. It's been pushing, like, some SJW agenda or some shit on, like, sexuality and genders and stuff. But you know what? Besides that, I mean... he does good trying to push, science towards children. Because I remember watching him as a kid, and I didn't care that he wasn't a scientist or not. He seemed like it to me. But it was because the idea that they were at least educating us on what science was and how to understand it a little better. That at least was something that I can appreciate. And anyone should be doing that. I'm kind of doing it here a little bit. Because, I've shared some knowledge that I've learned through this website showing this earth and with all the shit. I got that because I went to a college class on climate change. And it wasn't, just all about, the human impacts of climate change. It was about, learning about what the climate actually is and what it does, everything about it. The atmosphere, what all the different climates are in the atmospheres, how, learn definitions, learn how to collect the actual data of what, these things are. Learn about how to, study the past climate. This all plays into effect of how to deal with the man-made effects of climate change. So, all this plays in part. And it's people like this, and it's people who, and it's the fossil fuel lobbyists that push this narrative to provide a skepticism in America that we see today. And it makes it continue to be a debate when it's not a debatable issue, when it's an objective truth that we are fucking this earth up and we are killing ourselves.
Well, Bill Nye's not a scientist.
I know.
He's not. He's
it broke my heart when I found
a
out.
Science
Mouthpiece.
Propagandist.
Yeah, but that's the point.
No, that's not a good word.
I don't think Al Gore is a scientist.
He's not.
Okay, so I kind of hate how Joe Rogan says science propagandist, because he can't be a propagandist for science. How the fuck do you do that? In a way, he's just saying that just to kind of keep comfortable with Candace Owens here. But he's an enthusiast of science. I am. Just because I try to, help spread the, the knowledge of science, because I've, tried to whenever I get an opportunity to, does that make me a science propagandist? No. Sorry, Rogan, but that was kind of retarded for you to say, honestly. But I'm glad that you at least stood up for climate change, though. So credit where it's due. It's just a little thing that honestly sounds like it's trying to keep her, this dumb bitch, comfortable with her own fucking stupid narrative.
Right.
But Bill Nye is like a science influencer or a science entertainer.
Yeah, he's like
he doesn't have a background in actual science. He's not a scientist.
Right.
He doesn't have a PhD.
And
He's got an
I learned about him in
undergraduate.
school. Everything I did in science had to do with Bill Nye.
Well,
science,
he
right?
promotes science, and science is not bad.
Yeah.
But the real problem is with climate change is that, for sure, there has been ups and downs throughout the history of this planet. They're observable. They follow them in. This is one of the subjects that I had earlier today with Dr. Robert Schock. In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming. Yet only half the American public ascribe to that.
Okay, so it wants to be slow pausing, but so I actually did pull something from the Scientific American, which this is where Joe Rogan also pulled this thing up that he's talking about. So I'll just kind of read over it. Central and the American Association for the Advancement of Science, the AAAS. Okay, that was just off different sense, so never mind. The poll captured a significant split between what scientists and general public believe in climate change. In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming, and yet only half of the American public ascribe to that view. And I wonder why. I wonder how that's been allowed to happen. I just wonder. And 77% of scientists say climate change is a very serious problem. It's a little more than that at this point. That was 2014. It's a lot more now. In comparison, only 33% of the general public said it was a very serious problem in the 2013 poll. The split exists as common knowledge among social scientists who puzzle over the gridlock on climate change, and I can't read anywhere beyond that. But it gets to the point. Why is there such a debate? We've already talked about it here right now. It's because of these fossil fuel industries that buy off scientists and buy off, old lobbyists that used to work for tobacco, by the way. So, this is actually a really interesting point. I actually watched a documentary. It was about, the history of the tobacco lobbyists who eventually became lobbyists in other industries. Big Pharma, the fossil fuel industry, what else? The restaurant industry, Wall Street, name it. Take a pick. You know, there's probably a tobacco lobbyist that works in some field in their, you know, in the special industry groups. That, you know, military industrial complex was another, and you know, these, and it's a wonder why people bring on the skepticism when there are these scientists and these people who, you know, do research and shit, you know, who were previously lobbyists for tobacco back in the 70s, back when, you know, the big scare for tobacco and shit, which was actually, you know, justified, you know, and yet now they're all working for these other industries and lobbyists, and they're able to sow this discourse like they did with tobacco at the time, because they're like, oh well, it ain't too bad. You know, it's just like, yeah, you're killing yourself doing that, buddy. Keep harking up some lung butter for yourself there, bro. And then now you get it, you know, in other industries, and they're able to sow this feeling of doubt, you know, giving the shadow of the doubt of the actual severity of climate change here. And it allows people who are unable to think critically for themselves, like Candace Owens, essentially, and Ben Shapiro and these fucks in the ilk of the like, you know, who don't think climate change is a fucking thing because, oh, the liberal leftists bought off, you know, it's the deep state agenda for some reason, because I can't think of anything else, because all fossil fuels, it's the best energy, blah, 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 blah. You know, they don't have an argument. They don't. You know, every time I've always delved into it, because, like I've said before, my dad's a skeptic. He is. Or denialist. I don't know which one you want to call it. Either or. Same thing. And I always pull up everything. And he's just like, he just denies it. He's just like, no. It's just like, you know, I'm not even debating you. I'm just laying out facts at you, and you're just denying it because you're being a fucking moron. I mean, I can't say that to him, but I mean, that's what I'm thinking, you know. It's just like, you just want to deny facts because you're, you know, too arrogant to get out of your shell and open your mind up a little bit. It's like, take some shrooms or something. Fuck.
View. So,
well, what website is
87%, and this is
Scientific American.
Yeah.
Yeah, .com though, like, cause that means it's making money. I don't trust that. If it was a .org, I would probably take that. But this is just a random website, and
see that. There we go. Oh, it's .com. Oh, it's not .org. Oh, I don't trust it. It's making money. Oh my god, it made money. It's like, not a fucking argument, you worthless piece of dog shit. It's not an argument. You know, when okay, you want to say that, you know, this is making money or some shit. All right, let's go to like 20 different other sites that say the same shit. And are you going to say it's, you know, all fake then? No, I bet you wouldn't.
Scientific American is not.
Like, how about, you know, the next 50 websites that are going to say it? Are you going to say every single one of them are bought off by some liberal deep state, by George Soros or some retarded faggotry?
Necessarily a random website.
Yeah, I don't believe this, like, at all, just so you know.
You don't believe it, like, at all?
I genuinely don't believe it.
That proves how much of a bimbo she is, too. She's like, oh, I just don't believe in it, like at all. It's like, yeah, well, then you're a fucking moron. You know, come back and join us when you want to catch up with reality. And you want to get out of your little fantasy world of yours. Because guess what? It don't exist. It doesn't exist. You know what exists? A world that is dying, and a world that's becoming more uninhabitable in regions that are severe, and there's droughts, and there's severe weather, you know, because of these man-made impacts we have done, because we have fucked the world up with CO2 and other particulates and other greenhouse gases like methane as well. I mean, we have done so much, and not even to mention the trash and the pollution in that sense, the physical pollution that has wreaked havoc, you know, and the oil spills that have utterly destroyed land, for decades and longer than that. You know, how long are we going to allow this to continue? How long are we going to allow these fossil fuel industries to continue doing shit, you know, where it's obviously obsolete, where we have new options that are far more viable, far more economically feasible, better for the environment in general, better for the sake of our own goddamn fucking humanity. Like, I don't know, solar, wind, hydro, nuclear, geothermal. Like, you know, these fucking answers are in front of us. And then there are going to be people who deny it because they're too gullible and they believe fucking ExxonMobil out of all of them, instead of an actual scientist who's done research at Harvard or something. Like, who would have a better understanding of what's going on with the climate? Someone who's working with, like, the NOAA, or somebody who worked for ExxonMobil, who is a fossil fuel lobbyist? I don't know. I'm kind of inclined to believe the scientist who works for the NOAA. I don't know about you.
I know you do, but I genuinely don't believe it.
I believe most of the time the consensus of scientists that are studying the data.
Right.
And so what they're doing is studying.
But you remember all of the stories that came out about the scientists that said that when they tried to present their evidence to show, like, they were basically just getting shut down at every corner? You can pull that up too. Like, scientists who look up the opposite, right?
Just look up the opposite. Yeah, and what's the opposite? Fossil fuel bought, corrupted, you know, paid, special interests and agendas being pushed. So, there is no opposite in this argument. There's only corruption and lies on the other side.
Instead of looking for...
You can have debates on other issues. You can have debates on the gun issue. You can maybe have debates on how to do taxes. You can have debates on immigration, you know, how to do immigration policy. You can have debates on foreign policy. You can have debates on this stuff, but not climate change, sweetheart. You know, and that goes for, you know, anyone who's a skeptic. I mean, it's not a debate, you know, and until you wake up your fucking head, you know, and catch up with reality, we're just going to, you know, at this point, you might as well be a mockery, because that's what you are. And, you know, and until we get an actual, like, you know, viable alternative energy resources that are renewable and are actually more safer for the environment, to actually prove these dumbasses wrong, and then also to, you know, just rub it in the corporate bastards' face of these oil barons and fossil fuel special interests who corrupt it all, to show them, like, no, we have the power. We the people have the power to actually understand what we're doing to our Earth. You know, we should actually start treating each other like fucking humans, maybe, instead of exploiting these countries for oil because it makes you an extra $1 billion bucks, or however the fuck much you get, because you're a corporate, narcissistic, sociopathic fuck. You know? Like, how far, you know, I mean, a lot of my pessimism comes into, how long are we going to let this continue on? You know? But a lot of my optimism is, like, I think we have the power to generally make a change for it. But when the fuck is it happening, you know? That's the pessimism that comes out of that situation. But we'll get more into that situation a little later, though. Because, like I said, I mean, this is just part 2. So we're just getting more into these counter-arguments and shit, which we kind of go around circles with it, because, I mean, it's kind of obvious. But, I mean, we'll get into solutions and just kind of how I feel, you know? So, anyway, let's continue on with this, because this goes on for a while. So we'll just use this kind of more as our base video for the rest of this duration of this philosophy intake. So, and I also am going to put the in the chat after stream the actual Ignarism start, so people later are not like, where the fuck does it begin? Why is it like 30 minutes in and he hasn't said shit about climate change? What the fuck? But unless people want to see the banter, you know, unless people want to see the banter. I need to take a breather for a sec, though. Fuck, dude. I mean, when it comes to climate change, man, I'm passionate, dude. I'm passionate. Because, like, I don't know about you, but I give a fuck about, like, I don't know if it's just because I live in Oregon and, you know, the fact that, you know, I'm pretty, you know, I wouldn't say privileged, but I mean, I'm pretty, glad to live in such a beautiful, land like I do, I mean, and it's not saying that the rest of the United States is shit. No. I mean, I see the whole world as beautiful as fuck. Like, I, see videos and pictures of, Siberia or, the Falcon, not the Falcon, but, the Balkans, or, the Baltic, Scandinavia. I see all these pictures of all these different lands, and, I just have such a vast respect and love for all of it, And we should just, and it shouldn't be, man ruining everything about it. We should just get, it needs to, nature should let it continue its course with, forming land and shit. Because it does that. It's been doing that since this earth was formed, bitch. I mean, So, I just, I don't know. This is out of all the things I definitely get passionate about in my life, when it comes to the earth and the climate, that is one of my most biggest passions. And the fact there's just this debate in America only practically. I mean, if there was, fossil fuel lobbyists in France or some shit trying to make the points they're making, they'd be laughed out of the fucking room because they know it's bullshit. It's just, in some ways, I feel like America is like the sleeping giant in a way when it comes to this grassroots populism movement that will be rising up, and that gets more to my optimistic worldview. But because I said last stream, I got a nihilistic, pessimistic / optimistic coin toss with my worldview, but I try to keep it within reality. You know what I mean? My optimism, I don't I guess the pessimism, nihilism keeps the optimism in check to kind of at least keep the optimism into the more sense of reality. If that makes sense. I guess that's what the coin toss is all about. But I didn't really think about it until earlier today, so that's how, But I think that's, I don't know. I think that's probably the reason why it's just such a major coin toss to me, because my optimism needs to be kept checked with reality, or else I'm just going to sound like an idiot trying to be too optimistic about life, like I'm some Star Trek utopian, fanfic fanboy or some shit. I don't know, but just, yeah, dude. Another thing is just what really does baffle me, man. Is just this, how people like her, and people like Scott Pruitt too, and people like Rex Tillerson, and people, in who the CEO of Shell, the CEO of, I don't know all these fucking big oil company barons, and shit. I mean, there's Dapple, there's Sinclair, I think. No, that's different. That's something different. Never mind. Or is it? I don't know. All these corporate hegemonies, they're all, they all blend in it, because, when it comes down to it, when you go right to their cores, they're all the same. They're all the same. It's just that they go into different little different sects. Some go into the military-industrial complex, some go into the pharmaceutical industry, some go into the insurance industry, whether it be car, health, or whatever the fuck. And then some go into the fossil fuel industries. They go everywhere. And they go anywhere. And it spreads like a fucking poison. It spreads like a cancer. And it really is about time that we actually start killing it like a cancer. Because until we really do something, and say what you want about China's fucking pollution, like I've been pulling up a lot lately as kind of random examples, even they are actually doing something about it. What they've been doing? I read up earlier, I think, I'll pull it up really quick, just to see if just to prove my point here. China, climate change, investment. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So climate change. So China is doing. Essentially, it's taking the lead on climate change right now, because even they understand that the pollution and that the vast increase of greenhouse gases, especially in China. Let's be real, and especially in Beijing and all their industrialized areas, even they are, well, butt on my shirt or my pants, but even they are doing investments. Like, here's something here. Just pulled it up. So even the EU is investing in Chinese climate projects. So this says, and this was recent last month, EU bank to invest 300 million euros in Chinese climate projects. So let's see if we can get more into it here. Let's see what else. Oh, it's a pretty short one, so I'll just read it all really quick. 3 million euro investment signed with Import-Export Bank of China, Exim Bank, will be used on a range of climate projects, including sustainable transport, energy efficiency, renewable energy, water, and infrastructure. The initial loan is expected to lead with further investments totaling 1 billion euros in support of transition to a low-carbon economy, provided both by the public and private sectors in China. Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei provinces will benefit the most from the new scheme. Projects will be given out priority where pollution levels are highest and where they are deemed to have the most climate impact, according to the bank. Jonathan Taylor, EIB Vice President responsible for East Asia, said that unlocking climate investment will both create highly skilled jobs and reduce pollution. So, there's an economic benefit to, doing a Green New Deal and actually getting renewable infrastructure and renewable energies pushed and research done into that. There's an economic factor to that. So, what I love, my dad's a libertarian, which is kind of a fucking joke, to be honest. Because he's like the most pseudo-libertarian that there is, to be honest with you, dude. Socially he is, but economically and everything else is just drivel, dude. Utter drivel. Digressing, though. But, like, he even says that, oh, there's no economic benefit. There is none. Nope, none. Nope, you're wrong. Nope, wrong. Because there's no argument. There really is none. You're holding on to an obsolete thing. You're just holding on to it like a child because you don't want to get rid of it and mature up to new things and new ideas. So, the idea that there's no economic benefit is bullshit, because look right there. There is. Because there's investments being made, and, America could be doing this right now, but no, they don't want to, because the fossil fuel industry bought the government off. And then, now we're out of the climate accords, now we don't give a fuck about the climate, and now we're gutted the EPA to the point of nothing, so, fuck it. Because that's how the U.S. government sees the climate. Maximize profit, destroy everything else. Back to this video.
Looking for what you're not looking for.
I didn't search for it. That's what I found when I searched it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, look up.
But this is my question. Yeah. Why are you so sure? This is extremely complicated subject.
And it is. I said I am not so.
Hold on. Before I pause it, let's
sure that I would die on the hill for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you are right now, you stupid bitch. And by the way, it's not really a complicated issue. The science of it is complicated. So that's the complicity of this issue, which is why it's a debate right now. Because people don't want to actually listen to what the scientists are saying, so they don't understand it, so they think it's a bunch of nonsense, or bought off by the liberal deep state, or some bullshit. So, it's like, yeah, it just proves my point with her. And, just with these other people, too. That are too gullible and are too either brain dead or brainwashed to believe that what scientists are saying about climate change. Like, oh, you believe scientists on everything else, but as soon as it's climate change, you suddenly fucking deny it. Like that's one thing I've noticed about a lot of these people. They're like, oh yeah, we love astrology or astronomy, and it's astrology. But astronomy, and we love like oceanography, and we love all the science and shit, like biology and shit. Yeah, it was good. But climate change, oh no, you're fucking wrong, you liberal cuck. You're a liberal cuck if you believe climate change, you damn liberal. It's bullshit. It's retarded. They really. It stems back to they just have no argument. They have strawmans and, you know, fucking red, not even red herrings, but like they just can't win on that argument. I mean, like if you sit down with one of them and just explained it to them, you know, to some, I guess, certain skeptics, you could win them over. But unfortunately, with a lot of them, you can't. So, with those you can't, what else can you do but make a mockery of them?
My opinion right now, and is just that it was a means, because forget the fact of whether you believe global warming is real. Let's say it's 100% real. Let's say we know the fact it's real. Is there
because it is.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Global warming, climate change is definitely real. It's happening.
Well,
the question
but
is
it's
why
always
is it
happened.
Yes, it has always happened.
So what is the climate change? Yes, the climate changes. It was different weather yesterday than it was today. The climate is forever changing. That's the problem.
It was different weather yesterday than it was today, because that's the difference. That's weather, not climate, you fucking bimbo. That's why I have to make that clarification before I did this, because, I mean, how else are you going to make that distinction? You need to, or else you're going to have stupid points like that said. So if you make these distinctions with people before you make these debates, it makes it a lot easier for at least the people who actually get climate change to get their point across. And didn't at least ties little loose ends so they can't do stupid shit like that, so you can go back to like, hey, I clarified that that's actually not what climate change is. You know, that's not what it is. You're not talking about the same thing. Get back on the topic. So.
Is that people are making it seem like that's something weird.
No,
it's not
that's
unique.
not. You're misrepresenting the issue. The issue is people think that human beings are exacerbating climate change to the point where there's a tipping point. We cross over that tipping point. We're going to deal with huge problems that could be corrected if we act now and put a lot of funding into climate control.
Okay.
And this is what Howard Bloom was on talking about a few days ago. He was talking about that the real future involves the technology of climate control, and that what we have to be really careful of is letting it get too far where you can't ever stop it and pull it back. This is what scientists are warning about. This is why they want emission standards. This is why they want to figure out how to get people to be aware of the fact that this is a real issue. Okay. Now, regardless, human beings, if they never existed, the Earth has constantly gone through cycles. The question is not whether or not the Earth has gone through cycles of cooling and warming. Right. The question is, are we exacerbating that? The vast majority of scientists say we are.
Okay.
So, I mean, honestly, there's not really much else to say. I mean, he kind of just... He went more thoroughly about what, how to distinctify it. So, I think it's a good transition to get into some of the solutions here. And then wrap it up with how I feel about it. So, 10 solutions for a breaking climate change individual situation. Oh boy. I can't wait for Tuesday. I'm going to have a lot of different other videos set up. That's going to be really good. I think Tuesday streams can be nice. But I digress. Anyway. So let's read this really quick, because there's going to be a lot of points that we're going to need to get into here. So, the enormity of global warming can be daunting and dispiriting. What can one person or even one nation do to their own to slow and reverse climate change? But just as ecologist Stefan Pakala and physicist Robert Sokolow, both at Princeton University, came up with 15 so-called wedges for nations to utilize toward this goal, each of which is challenging but feasible, and in some combination could reduce greenhouse gas emissions to safer levels. There are personal lifestyle changes that you can make to that, and some combination can help reduce your carbon impact. Not all are right for everybody. Some of you may already be doing or absolutely abhor, but implementing or just a few of them can make a big difference. So here's the first one. Number 1. Forgo fossil fuels. The first challenge is eliminating the burning coal, oil, and eventually natural gas. This is perhaps the most daunting challenge, as denizens of richer nations literally eat, wear, work, and play, or even sleep on products made from such fossilized sunshine. And citizens of developing nations want and arguably deserve the same comforts, which are largely thanks to the energy storage in such fuels. Oil is the lubricant of the global economy, hidden inside such ubiquitous... ubiquitous, whatever, items such as plastic and corn, and fundamental in transportation of both consumer and goods. Coal is a substrate supplying roughly half of the electricity used in the U.S. and nearly that much worldwide. The percentage that is likely to grow, according to the International Energy Agency. There is no perfect solutions for reducing dependence on fossil fuels. For example, carbon-neutral biofuels can drive up the price of food and lead to forest destruction. And while nuclear power does not emit greenhouse gases, it does produce radioactive waste, but every bit counts. So, oh, one more thing. So try to employ alternatives when possible, plant-derived plastics, biodiesel, wind power, and to invest in change, be divesting from oil stocks or investing in companies practicing carbon capture and storage. So, let's break that down here. So, we need to, first, essentially, the first premise for the solutions on climate change, forgo fossil fuels, which is the first thing that we should be doing. And I said that right there in the end, for alternatives. Plant-derived plastics, biodiesel, wind power, so, you know, and not just wind power, but solar power, geothermal, nuclear too, even. I mean, it may be safe, but the, you know, one of those things going down, Chernobyl, you know, not a good thing, but yeah. So, you know, we definitely need to be investing in more of these energy sources that don't go into that don't release greenhouse gases, because that's the main problem. That's the problem. And then we also need to be investing and funding and helping research in, with companies that are trying to practice carbon capture and storage and trying to make change to reduce the carbon emissions that are being released. You know, just greenhouse gases in general, not even just carbon, because there's more than just carbon. There's methane. There's a couple others. I'm blanking on them because they weren't as important, but I mean, essentially, there's also water vapor too, but that's not really done by man. So here's the second one. Infrastructure upgrade. Buildings worldwide contribute around 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions, 43% in the U.S. alone. Oh my God. Even though investing in a thicker insulation and other cost-effective temperature regulating steps can save money in the long run, electric grids are at capacity or overloaded, but power demands continue to rise, and back roads can lower the fuel economy even the most efficient vehicle. Investing in new infrastructure, radically upgrading existing highways and transmission lines will help cut greenhouse gas emissions and drive economic growth in developing countries. So, what this needs to happen is essentially a Green New Deal, which I don't know if anyone watches Secular Talk with Kyle Kalinske, but god damn it, watch him, dude. He has talked about doing something along the lines of like a FDR style Green New Deal that, you know, that goes into, he doesn't really go in detail on it, I don't think, ever really that much, but the whole premise that we need to do something like that where we have public programs that do, you know, public infrastructure spending that is oriented towards green technologies and, you know, towards a more environmentally friendly direction needs to be a priority when we do definitely do infrastructure upgrades. Because if we do it cheaply and poorly and shit, like, where we get, you know, them polluting a lot, there's no point in doing it, you know? Of course, it takes a lot of cement and major source of greenhouse emissions to construct new buildings and roads. The U.S. alone contributed to 50.7 million metric tons of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in 2005 from cement production, which requires heating limestone and other ingredients up to 1,400 degrees Celsius. And mining copper and other elements needed for electrical wiring and transmission also causes global warming pollution. Oh, howdy, Joe. Well, welcome. You missed a lot. You missed me have a good rant, but don't worry. It wasn't too long ago, so it'll be good though. Getting more into the solutions here now though. But gonna go back into it here really quick though. But energy-efficient buildings, improved cement making processes, such as using alternative fuels to fire up the kindling, could reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the developed world and prevent them in the developing world. Sorry, just sleeping. Well, I mean, go ahead and sleep, sir. I mean, I don't care if you sleep. I mean, this will be here in the morning. Just for you, yeah. But, yeah. Nah. You're just like, nah, I'm good, fam. You're on now. Hey, I don't mind. I had like 40 minutes of banter, so after the stream's done, I'm gonna post like where I actually start. So, so it's not like people are like, where the fuck is the actual talk and discussion on climate change? So, where is that? So, but anyway, but yeah, I just kind of already went into so climate change. Yes, I did. I kind of did a quick recap. I kind of went into what a lot of the problems as to what's causing it, and a lot of problems as to why there's a debate in this country on climate change. And now I'm getting into the solutions, and then I'm going to get into my personal thoughts on what we could, how we should be doing it. So anyway, but we just kind of went in onto the infrastructure thing. You just showed up like as I was finished talking about it, where we are killing ourselves. Oh, I said that plenty of times. We are. We most definitely are right now. I mean, I got like hella tense for a moment, and I was just like, nah, just fuck it, let it all out. But anyway, so we already went through how many? Just 2 of them. So there's 7 more that we are gonna get into here really quick as well. So. Anyway, so the third one is move closer to work. Transportation is the second leading source of greenhouse gas emissions in the U.S. Burning a single gallon of gasoline produces 20 pounds of CO2. Holy shit. It doesn't have to be that way. One way to dramatically curtail transportation fuel needs is to move closer to work, use mass transit, or switch to walking, cycling, or some other mode of transportation that doesn't require anything other than human energy. There's also an option of working from home and telecommunicating several days a week. Well, one thing about Portland that I do love, though, is it's a very bike-friendly city and very pedestrian-friendly, and we have a pretty in-depth transit system. So, Oregon has done a lot in this category, I would say, or at least to accommodate to that, because this is what I do. I just take transit. I just walk, ride a bike, or, that, usually, or carpool if, that's the case. But, yeah, I mean, that's just what I do. So that is important. Like, and it kind of goes back to the second premise of infrastructure upgrades, especially aligned towards a green and environmental friendly direction with public infrastructure spending. And a lot of it should be accommodated so people, if they live a little farther from their work or from wherever they go to, like college, like for me, then there should be transit, and there should be options, or at least quick ways to ride a bike up there or something like that, or just have it direct as possible. But it's definitely more difficult for smaller towns and just smaller areas and more rural locations, but you can at least make an attempt, at least have the attempt of making the infrastructure and everything around there environmentally directed into spending. And even if you can't curtail a lot of this transportation issue, then at least you can make the roads a lot better, so these vehicles don't have to work as much, which is causing a lot of them to use more energy, which causes more CO2 to be exhumed into the atmosphere. So yeah, all plays together in that. Well, the fourth one is consume less. The easiest way to cut back on greenhouse gas emissions is simply to buy less stuff. Whether you're foregoing an automobile or employing a reasonably reusable grocery sack, cutting back on consumption results in fewer fossil fuels being burnt to extract, produce, and ship products around the globe. Think green when making purchases. For instance, if you are in the market for a new car, buy one that will last longest and have the least impact on the environment. Thus, a used vehicle with a hybrid engine offers superior fuel efficiency over the long haul while saving the environmental impact on a new car manufacturer. Well, unfortunately, there's not a lot of cheap used cars that are hybrids, so because that's kind of relatively a new thing. But I think the car that I'm going to get later when I get a license is going to be a hybrid, so at least that's going to be a good thing. Paradoxically, when purchasing essentials such as groceries, buying in bulk can reduce the amount of packaging, plastic wrapping, cardboard boxes, and unnecessary materials. Sometimes buying more means consuming less. So, yeah, overall, I agree with that. Like, there's not much I really would need to say for that. We always used to be all was close, and everything's so right about problems is convenience. Yeah, I mean a lot of it is convenience. Like there's shit I buy online just for the sake of convenience too. I mean, which, you know, think about how much of an impact that makes. Like there's shit that gets shipped across fucking Europe or China, dude, that I've gotten before, and I mean that has to be taken from a boat. I mean, imagine what the boat is doing, you know? So, I mean, consuming less also kind of means, like, try to consume more locally, too, in that sense. So, I would say add locally as well. And instead of also, I think that should also mean, you know, instead of buying more mainstream products, like, of produce and meats and stuff like that, buy more locally and more, and try to encourage, like, going towards, like, farmers markets and stuff like that. Be efficient. A potentially simpler and even bigger impact can be made by doing more with less. Citizens in many developed countries are profligate wasters of energy, whether by speeding up in gas guzzling sports utility vehicle, leaving the lights on when not in the room. Good driving, a good car maintenance, such as making sure tires are properly inflated, can limit the amount of greenhouse gas emissions from a vehicle, and perhaps more importantly, lower the frequency of pavement at the pump. Imagine ocean. They said they are big garbage piles floating in the mid-ocean. Yeah, there's a garbage patch in the Pacific that's about as big as Texas. So, and by the way, the surface of it's not even the worst of it. It's what's under that. And it's terrible, dude. Like, it's terrifying that this, like, garbage gyro is in the middle of the Pacific that's just chilling. I mean, just imagine how bad that, is just for that ocean, dude. I mean, we are really just poisoning ourselves like that. It's just a shame. I mean, imagine where all that came from, like America, China, Japan, Korea, Polynesian, oceanic countries like Australia too, New Zealand, South America. They come from everywhere. Fuck, it wouldn't surprise me if some were from Europe, dude. It wouldn't surprise me. Similarly, employing more efficient refrigerators, air conditioners, and other appliances, such as those highly rated under U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Energy Star program, can cut electric bills, while something as simpler as weatherproofing the windows of a home can reduce heating and cooling bills. Such effort can also usefully be employed at work, whether that means installing more efficient turbines at the power plant or turning off the lights when you leave the office. Eat smart, go vegetarian. Oh no. Uh-oh, I might disagree with something. Corn grown in the U.S. requires barrels of oil for the fertilizer to grow it and a diesel fuel to harvest and transport it. Some grocery stores stock organic produce that do not require such fertilizers, but is often shipped from halfway across the globe. In meat, whether beef, chicken, or pork, requires pounds to feed to produce a pound of protein. Choosing food items that balance nutrition, taste, and ecological impact is not an easy task. Food staffs often bear some nutritional information, but there's little to reveal how far the head of lettuce, for example, has traveled. That's true. University of Chicago researchers estimates that each meat-eating American produces 1.5 tons or more of greenhouse gases for their food choice than do their vegetarian peers. It would also take far less land to grow the crops necessary to feed humans and livestock, allowing more room for planting trees. Yeah, well. And next one's simple. Stop cutting down trees. I like that. Our garbage coming back to get us. Just like an old scary movie, Return of the Garbage Pile. Damn straight, dude. Like, there's gonna be like a Titanic, like a fucking tsunami of trash that's just gonna invade the fucking, like, land, dude. That would just be scary. We're already doing it to ourselves, too, dude. Like, I mean, we just let shit just flop around, in streets and shit, with how bad and littered everything is. It's terrible. Like, the only exceptions I would make is stuff that's decomposable, like a core of an apple. Like, if that was laying next to a tree, I actually would not give a fuck. In fact, a squirrel or a chipmunk or a rat or something like that might take interest in that and eat it, because it's like, hey, it's scraps, I'll eat the scraps. So, it's just like, the only, like, thing I make an exception for is, like, just shit like... God, I'm so jealous. I love that hair. Well, it keeps growing longer. I've been getting a lot of compliments about how long it is. So, I'm just going to let it keep going. Let it keep going. But stop cutting down trees, sir. You need to stop cutting trees down. You specifically. I know you've been cutting all those trees down out here. Every year, 33 million acres of forest that are cut down. Timber harvesting in the tropics alone contribute to 1.5 billion metric tons of carbon to the atmosphere. I mean, and also trees collect carbon from the atmosphere. So, you know, when you kill them, it also releases a little bit of it. So, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, what do you, like, carbon is just what plants use to breathe, basically. And we're cutting the biggest ones that like to store it. So, you know, we really do need to, like, find better alternatives, like hemp for paper and shit. Because, you know, trees are, like, the biggest important thing. I mean, I love how Oregon, at least, takes a very big importance in its trees. Because we love our trees. We are tree huggers over here. Tree huggers. Good stuff. Already read that. That represents 20% of human-made greenhouse gas emissions and a source that could be avoided relatively easily. Improved agricultural practices along with paper recycling and forest management, balancing the amount of wood taken out, the amount of new trees growing, could quickly eliminate this significant chunk of emissions. And when purchasing wood products such as furniture or flooring, buy used goods or failing that wood certified that has been sustainably harvested. The Amazon and forests are not just the lungs of the earth, they may also be humanity's best short-term hope for limiting climate change. Yeah, that is really true too. Like, if we're able to, like, actually, like, regrow a lot of these forest backs, that would help with collecting and storing carbon. Because plants use that to breathe, so it makes sense. You know? There's logic right there. That's, like, literal logic and reality. So, here's another. So here's the next one. Unplug. Believe it or not, U.S. citizens spend more money on electricity to power devices when off than on. Television, stereo equipment, computers, battery chargers, and a host of other gadgets and appliances consume more energy when seemingly switched off, so unplug them instead. Purchasing energy-efficient gadgets can also both save energy and money, and thus prevent more greenhouse gas emissions. So, to take but one example, efficient battery chargers could save more than 1 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity. $1 million at today's electricity prices, and thus prevent the release of more than 1 million metric tons of greenhouse gases. Swapping old incandescent light bulbs for more efficient replacements, such as compact fluorescents, warning these light bulbs contain mercury and must be properly disposed of after the end of their long life, would save billions of kilowatt hours. In fact, according to the EPA, replacing just one incandescent light bulb for every American home would save enough energy to provide electricity to 3 million American homes. Wow. I didn't actually know that fact. One child. Uh-oh. Here is the population control agenda. There are at least okay, this is off. It's actually 7.5 billion, but it says 6.6 billion people here. But it's 7.5 billion people now, because we keep growing. So 7.5 billion people living today, a number that is predicted by the United Nations to grow at least 9 million by mid-century, which I think that still holds true. What was that comment? Now we're talking about gases. We are those fart guys that we need to produce our own gas emissions. Sorry, dude, no more sex allowed. Damn straight, dude. Or at least just more birth control so we can just at least have all the sex we want. But, yeah, we need to get the Brett Keane shitlords in here, dude. I think one of them was here for like 2 seconds, liked the video, and left. Like, that was like the first 5 minutes, and they like left instantly. And I'm like, okay then. I'm just like, well, they just it came to a trolling situation. But, yeah, so 9 billion by the mid-century. The UN Environmental Program estimates that it requires 54 acres to sustain an average human being today. Food, clothing, and other resources extracted from the planet. Continuing such population growth seems unsustainable. Though, you know, in reality it can be. It's just that we waste so much food on top of just how much is already being made. You know, and there's just a lack of, you know, organization and a lack of priority over, you know, taking care of the populace, which also causes that to be a problem. And birth control is not, you know, encouraged and not educated upon the populace, especially the women of these countries and just the world. You know, if we encouraged all of that, you know, we would be able to sustain ourselves with the population that we have. And eventually we might be able to have like a stability point where we won't be like growing so much, you know what I mean? But that's probably not going to be for a while. Falling birth rates in some developing countries, a significant portion of which are due to government-imposed limits on the number of children a couple could have, like China. But a lot of it actually is more towards abortion clinics and birth control clinics as well. I feel bad for kids nowadays. When I was young, I could have a real body by sex. It's getting to the point where y'all could be wearing spacesuits for sex. I mean, we might be wearing spacesuits on fucking Earth just to survive in unhospitable regions, dude. Like, I mean, you might be just like, oh, how's it going, Billy? We're going to go contact Houston off over in there, you know, yonder. Bye, Billy. It's like, I mean, it's going to be so polluted, it's so fucked. I mean, that's how we're going to be living at this point, so we might as well just, like, have bodysuits and, like, go into, like, some crazy transhumanism fucking shit or some shit. I have no idea, dude. That'd be crazy. Okay, so what was I talking about here? Developed countries have begun to reduce or reverse the population explosion. It remains unclear how many people on the planet could comfortably sustain, but it is clear that per capita energy consumption must go down if climate change is to be controlled. Ultimately, one child per couple rule is not sustainable either, and there is no perfect number for human population, but it's clear that more humans means more greenhouse gas emissions. Future fuels. Replacing fossil fuels may be more a great challenge of the 21st century. May prove the great challenge. Many contenders exist, ranging from ethanol-derived crops to hydrogen electrolyzed out of water, but all of them have some drawbacks too, and none are immediately available at the scale needed. Biofuels have a lot of host of negative impacts, from driving up food prices to sucking up more energy than they produce. Hydrogen must be created, requiring either reforming natural gas or electricity to crack water molecules. Biodiesel hybrid electric vehicles that can plug into the grid overnight may offer the best transportation solution in the short term, given the energy diversity of diesel and the carbon neutral ramifications of fuel from plants, as well as the emissions of electric engines. A recent study found that the present amount of electricity generated in the U.S. can provide enough energy for the country's entire fleet of automobiles to switch to plug-in hybrids, reducing greenhouse emissions in the process. But plug-in hybrids would still rely on electricity now predominantly generated by burning dirty coal. Massive investments in low-emission energy generation, whether solar, thermal power, or nuclear fusion, would be required to radically reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Reduce greenhouse gas emissions and even more speculative energy sources. Hyper-event photovoltaic cells. What the fuck? Solar energy stations in orbit or even fusion may ultimately be required. I'm going to look up hyper-efficient photovoltaic cells because that sounds insane, dude. What is that? What's this? What is it? This doesn't help. What? Never mind. I'm not going to try to delve into that. I'm not going to try. The solutions above offer the outline of the outline plan to personally avoid contributing to global warming, but should such individual national efforts fail, there is another potential desperate solution: experiment Earth, and this is the last one. Climate change presents humanity's first planet-wide experiment, but if all else fails, it may not be the last. So-called geoengineering, radical interventions to either block sunlight or reduce greenhouse gases, the potential last resort for addressing the challenge of climate change. Among the ideas, releasing sulfate particles in the air to mimic the cooling effects of a massive volcanic eruption, placing millions of small mirrors or lenses in space to deflect sunlight, covering portions of the planet with reflective films to bounce sunlight back into space, fertilizing oceans with iron or other nutrients to enable plankton to absorb more carbon, and increasing cloud cover or the reflectivity of clouds that already form. And all may have unintended consequences, but making the solution worse than the original problem. But it's clear that at least some form of geoengineering will likely be required. capturing carbon dioxide before it is released and storing it in some fashion either deep beneath the earth, at the bottom of the ocean, or in carbonate minerals, such as carbon capture and storage is critical to any serious effort to combat climate change. So, that's the whole thing. And for the final part, I mean, I feel like a lot of that is a little bit pie in the sky, which is my nihilistic view coming in. I don't think having like mirrors or lenses in space deflecting sunlight is going to help a lot. Maybe releasing sulfate particles, but that just seems like you're adding more to the pollution of Earth than anything else. I think one of the more better solutions is fertilizing the oceans with iron and other nutrients to enable plankton to absorb more carbon. I think that's the best solution out of all of what was said. And increasing cloud cover, reflectivity of clouds that already form, I mean, that's probably not the greatest idea either. But out of all of them, I like the fertilizing the oceans best because, I mean, you're essentially fertilizing not land at that point, but the ocean. And if we go into areas where there's a lot of plankton and do that, then they will be able to absorb more carbon, and that's a good thing. And also that'll probably help increase plankton population, and that'll probably get more food for whales and shit. Didn't you do a paper on this for class? Not in this, not in my global climate change class, no. But we actually had like a couple multiple little papers. We actually had to talk about a thing in the news that was recent, and I actually got a chance and opportunity to pull a secular talk video to do some of my video. So that made me not some of my video, but my presentation, and I got like a perfect day on that shit. And it was great. So I loved it. I loved it though. But yeah. But so, how do I feel like what we can be doing about this? Well, first of all, we definitely need to be switching to renewables and do a Green New Deal in public infrastructure spending. Get back on the goddamn Paris Climate Accords, because we're the only country now that is not a part of that deal. Not part of those accords anymore. We're the only ones. And, you know, I wonder why. Scott Pruitt's in the EPA. There's a lot of fossil fuel lobbyists that get away with exploiting gullible minds like Trump, thinking it's a Chinese hoax. You know, so there's you know, ways to do it though. And you know, what should we do about these people who have done this when we, you know, fucking make this shit obsolete? I honestly do think we need to put them through the international courts, not just the American judicial courts, because these guys, you know, the damage isn't just from the United States. It's not just here. It is the whole world we're talking about. This shouldn't be done for the Supreme Court of the U.S. This needs to be done at the fucking Hague. Because these people need to, you know, hear the testimonies and hear the cries of every other goddamn country, especially the ones they've exploited, so they can really, you know, understand the pain and suffering they've really truly caused, if they ever give a fuck. Which I know they don't. But, you know, it'll prick at them a little bit, and that's the point. Every time Trump opens his mouth, he increases global pollution. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if he did. Because, look at that fucking Cheeto of a man. Like, he literally thought putting hairspray inside a building didn't cause climate change and thought that was a joke. But he doesn't get it because there's vents in the building, dude. It gets sucked out into the air later on. So he's, you know, these climate change denialists and skeptics, you know, most of them are really honestly just idiots because they don't understand it. Because they just think it's all some stupid joke or whatever. Because, oh, it's not affecting me. It's not about you. It's about the fucking world. And unless you open your view for a whole world view, then you're not going to get why climate change is such a big impact. So, you know, we should be trying these, you know, fossil fuel lobbyists and these CEOs to these, you know, fossil fuel industries and actually get them on trial for their crimes that they've committed. And it's not just, you know, environmental justice. It's also the justice of these countries they exploited, and that that their money has been directly involved into the suffering and deaths of thousands, if millions of people, not in just like Iraq and Afghanistan and these countries, but just around the world, because of their greed and their corruption. So. You know, instead of having an accord, we need to actually have like a world treaty on this, like a signed treaty signed by every every nation, where we actually do try to make all these efforts to actually, you know, combat climate change in our own ways in these countries. Because I think the UK by 2040 is going to try to have all electric cars in London, if not the whole country. And I think France is trying to do the same thing for 2050. So, you know, these countries are already practically 10 years, 20 years ahead of us at this point. But at least when it comes to the whole climate change debate. You know, it makes me kind of sick that I have to say it like that. But it fucking is in this country. It is. But, yeah. I think I've said about practically everything I could at the moment on climate change. I mean, there's not much else I could possibly say. Not that I could think of, but we'll banter a little while longer before I head out, though. There's no reason to leave just yet, so. You know, I think not really a debate anymore. Everyone's taking sides. Yeah, you know, even in that, like, nothing is really a debate anymore. It's just two sides fighting it out. And then both people on either side will just support whoever they thought won. So, I mean, there will be like a couple of people who see it as a debate and be like, oh, I actually thought he did better, even though I prefer this guy, or something like that. Like, for example, a couple months back, Kyle Kalinske did a debate with Razorfist on the Drunken Peasants. And there were people who were Razorfist fans, and even they thought that Razorfist got Razor-fisted by Kyle Kalinske. Because he went in there as a serious debater in an actual, you know, discussing a policy. But Razorfist just kind of went in there, you know, just as like an edgelord. Like, and it totally creamed his ass. And I think he even posted on Twitter not too long ago, you know, a segment of that debate, thinking he got, like, I think at a point where he kind of tried to get a gotcha, but failed. And it's just like, dude, don't even try, man. You didn't even pull the full debate up on your channel, and Kyle did. So, who won that debate, bitch? So, but, you know, unfortunately, people just take their sides, and, you know, who gives a shit? It's just like, yep, I got my side, you got yours, and I'm just gonna fight you out, so fuck you, bitch. It's like, is there no, like, individuality and, like, a free market of ideas that we all can, like, discuss on, you know? Like, that, you know, hopefully we can just, like, it's the Old West, yeah, basically. Old West. It's just on the internet now, because the internet is just a fucking beast on its own, dude. But at least it's not fucking built on lies and shit, or whatever the fuck. I don't know if you were here last stream too. I don't know if you're overhearing my dad mumbling in the background about, like, oh, the internet's full, you know, got deep state lies and fucking liberal lies and shit. It's just like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. Do you even know what you're saying? Like, it's like, oh, you know, people you pulled up is all like dumb, just blah, blah. It's like, no, not you. Like, instead of, you know, just shutting yourself out and being an ignorant dumbass, how about you actually ask questions about who these people are and what they do and stuff and whatever. It's just like, quit being a closed-minded dumbass and listen to radio all the time, dude. That's the problem with a lot of the, you know, climate debate skeptics, too. It's just like, they just don't want to get out of their little bubble in this situation. That was a little harsh. Spittle. Gross. Alright, well. It is 2:21 in the morning here. I don't even know how early it is for you. Probably like 5 or some shit. Which is killing me more, your hair or the weed? I don't know. I know the weed is killing me right now. But the hair is too a little bit. It is hot as fuck in my room for some reason. So, yeah. But I think I'll end it here though. The rest of the discussion starts around like the 45-minute mark, but after the stream, when the comments are able to actually be posted later after stream, I'll post the actual timestamp of that. Because there's a lot of banter in between, but if you want to check out the banter, that's fine too. I go into a bunch of different other stuff. It's going to be 100 here today. Oh god, dude. Oh, it was like 91 today, dude. It was like 90 degrees. And there was like this like thunderstorm that passed for like an hour and it cooled things down for a little bit. And after it passed and there was a lot of cloud overpass, it looked pretty beautiful today after that. But, oh, ugh. That was gross, but yeah. I'm up early to go cut my lawn. Nice, man. We don't really got a lawn, we got a moss lawn. It's made of moss. So, we don't really got much of a lawn to cut. We got one in the backyard to cut, but the front yard is moss. So, we got lucky with that, but I don't know how. It over time became moss, which is kind of funny. But I kind of like it. It's kind of cool to have a moss lawn. But anyway, I'm probably going to grab something to eat really quick and then head out myself because I got ribs that are waiting for me that I'm going to probably reheat. Because even ribs reheated are good as fuck, dude. Ribs, man. But yeah, but I'll be on Tuesday because I got a lot of really cool videos I've been watching and checking out, and I want to share too as well. So on Tuesday I'll have a stream for you because I'm gonna be at work literally all day on Monday, so I won't be able to stream then. Go eat, bro. I will. I most definitely will. And you enjoy your lawn cutting, and I'll be seeing you Tuesday, my friend. So peace out, bitch. Peace out.